Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming to tonight's event. My name is Kayla Richards, and I'm sure Paul has given me some sort of brief introduction. I'm sorry I couldn't make it this evening. I'm at home visiting family before I leave for VIA at the end of the month. I just graduated from McAllister in May and wanted to just give you a brief introduction of myself and why I'm excited to go to VIA. And again, stress how important I think this kind of work is. So I graduated from McAllister with a degree in psychology and sociology, and I met Paul through some of my brief interactions within the political science department, and it was here that I learned that a lot of the things that we spend our time doing align with one another. It was a couple summers ago I was involved in a fellowship called the Chuck Green Civic Engagement Fellowship, kind of a mouthful, at McAllister. And I spent 10 weeks taking an English circle and creating an English classroom. And it was a lot of hard work because we needed some grant writing done, resources for the classroom, volunteers to teach, and a curriculum, which I eventually wrote myself. It was a lot of hard work, but it taught me a lot about nonprofits and this issue area in general. And so it was through that experience that I really came to love the people of South America in particular. Prior to that fellowship, I had spent a lot of time volunteering at other English schools in the Twin Cities, um, working with mostly South American and Central American immigrants. It was here that I was also first introduced to human rights training, and as a first year and sophomore at McAllister, went to a lot of rallies with some of my learners, and it was through those stories and conversations that I decided that this is something that I wanted to get more involved in or with. And so last school year I went into Paul's office and said, this is what I've done, this is sort of what I want to do, what do you think? And after talking to both Emily and Paul and hearing their stories and talking to Jesus, I decided that I had to go to VIA. So when I get to VIA, there are a number of things that are sort of on my to-do list and a number of things that I'm really excited about. First of all, just the general infrastructure of the community center, resources, furnishings, getting internet up and running, making sure the water systems are working, things of that nature are sort of on the top of my list. I'm going to be following up where Emily sort of left off with volunteer recruitment. I think that that's huge if we want our programming to be sustainable and if we want to get areas outside of VIA involved with what's going on in that district. Um, English classroom and English classes are going to be a high priority for me just because it's something I've been doing for so long and something that I think is extremely important for lots of people. So I think that that's going to be something that I want to tackle when I get there. This summer I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of sort of community partnerships that McAllister already has established within the Twin Cities, the U of M, some human rights trainers within the Twin Cities, Amicus, Centro, and some other English classrooms, so that we can learn from them and find out what has worked for them, so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel when I get to Lima. That being said, I'm excited to also try and host some workshops on female youth empowerment, which is something I've done in the past and I think is extremely, extremely important. And Jesus and I are going to team up, and hopefully I will help him with his communication workshops. It appears to me that he's really excited about social media, which is great. I think it's important that we find a way to best utilize those tools to our advantage. So those are some things that I'm excited about, but I also think it will be really interesting and really helpful to get down to VIA and find out what the community members themselves are going to have to teach me and want to learn. And I'm just going to try to do my best to help out in as many areas as possible. That being said, again, I'm really anxious, but also really excited to get down there. And I wish I could have been at the event this evening. I'm back at home. And after talking with Paul this evening and Emily, I hope that you all come to also see this as a really valuable project and organization. And I personally can't think of a better cause. So enjoy the rest of your evening. If you have any questions for me, I would love to hear from any and all of you. Paul definitely has my contact information, and I will be keeping a blog while in VIA. So please follow me along my adventures and the adventures of the center. Um, have a good evening, and thank you all for coming.